All right, legends. Good morning. Running a little behind. I don't know if I'll even get a group today, but I'm heading out to get some K's in the legs. Let's get everything turned on. I think I got the back light on. Let's get this head unit going. It's going to be another scorcher. We're under some kind of a heat wave here. I've got to calibrate my power meter.
Yeah, I'm testing the rally power pedals, and they need a calibration. You have to unclip for them to work. You have to calibrate them every ride. Kind of a zero offset it does as well.
Very still. It's not very hot. It's a nice cool breeze right now, but it's going to heat up quickly. If I pick up a group, I'll get some clips. If not, I'll just get some clips of me out there getting the K's in the legs.
On this ride, I left Northampton. I went up to the Ashlane YMCA, hooked up the WCC guys. We took off on Sterling Ridge, went up to Research Forest, Fish Creek. I let them go right about there. I was just feeling really crappy, and it just seemed like everything was harder than it should have been. I continued into Montgomery by myself and hooked up with Jerry and them on the way back. That's all off camera. And I still wasn't feeling right. Everything just seemed very hot. My heart rate seemed elevated. So it really ended up being a day where I backed up the pace. But I got some good clips, and I will walk you through how power works on the bike for those of you who may be new to training with power, so you can kind of see what occurred for the clips that I did get.
Well, legends, once I got out here, realized I had enough time to hook up with the WCC boys. So I'm at the Woodlands Family YMCA on Ashlane Drive. There's Fabian. Fabian, how you doing?
These guys are always happy to see us. Makes you feel so welcome.
Here. I saw a few other riders as I approached. Yeah. The other riders here.
You will see more is surprised that I'm here.
Good.
They have a standing ride, so you would come when we can.
Right, that's the risk, right? You could
Good morning.
say, "Oh my gosh!" All right.
Every time I see you, you look smaller.
You're not filming, right?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay.
You said, "Oh my gosh," that's good. That's G. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, I'm
That's Sana. She's on my right. I didn't put her on camera.
good.
Where are you guys going today? I've been avoiding this heat.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we were just talking about that.
avoid
We're
it.
talking about
Well, you gotta go
Yeah,
early.
that's Ken.
talking
I
about
think it's
switching
Ken.
time is difficult for us because we have a time on the calendar.
Yeah.
And this is traditionally always 7:30.
It's
if
not
you
too
switch it, people are not gonna.
It's
know.
not too bad. 7:30 is not too bad.
Well, I left early though. Already got it.
Yeah, I saw one of your rides this week. You said way too early or something like that. I just started to laugh.
Sana was there.
5 o'clock. I'm like,
Sana
man.
probably left at 4:30.
Yeah, these guys get up early.
4:54.
Yeah, see, Sana's at 4:54. Sana's from Finland.
No, she got a different one than what I saw the last time.
I just switched. This is Sana's bike. She got a new Cipollini.
Yeah.
And that's Jesus' bike. He's got a lightweight.
We need to
And
explain
Fabian got
that,
another Dogma.
Jesus had to purchase a new
disc.
bike because Sana got a new Cipollini. So in order for Jesus to continue attacking Sana on Pony Egypt on the fine, he had to have a comparable fuel.
So I'm gonna have to go back next week and ride with these guys because this was an abbreviated
But check
ride.
this out. On her fork, it says the one.
Yes.
On
Whatever
her
that
fork,
means.
on the right fork, it says the one.
Fabian, what do you want to do? Come on, today you're like.
Don't ask him. Don't ask.
She says Taliaferro. That's a long. That's close to Richard.
Let's do it. I'm gonna be.
No, let's not do it.
Tagliaferro.
No, let's not do it. I was
Tagliaferro is the Richards. It's a long ride.
That's close to Richards. That's like 80 miles.
Almost 80 from here. Yeah.
All the enchilada.
What I would say, okay, I'm just gonna suggest it because we have various abilities. Let's take it easy on the way out.
Right.
Never fall for that.
Words.
Famous last
Winter
words.
training.
He said, let's take it easy. Don't fall for that. The group always says that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
you can just like.
but I was joking. We don't need to go there.
But we know the way home, so don't worry.
No. That was not a joke.
Well, let's do this. Okay, here's what we do. All right, here's what we do. We do Bethel, right? We're going to Bethel. Once we get to Bethel, we regroup and we say, how do we feel? We can do the extra time.
Okay.
Okay. That way, because if it gets really too hot.
Little light.
I like that they get input from everybody
So we're gonna take Fish Creek.
on what the route will be.
If you go to Bethel, you want to go through the forest first, or you want to stay on forest first? Forest first, you like that better?
So they want to go through the forest. They're going to do the forest first and then come back to taco to fill up the bottles and so forth.
Once we get to the end of Bethel, we start the chant. Once we get there, we hear if the chant starts like
I love that road. It's quiet. You heard me tell them jokingly, but I meant it. We know the route. We know the way home. This is where this guy introduces himself to me. I'd met him a week ago.
Car right, stopping.
So we stopped. There's a car coming. He ends up slowing down. And we stopped because then he said he's turning, or the car is turning. That's the car over there.
But that was good. That's the right call. Because he didn't signal.
So Mo says.
One time I tried to be good.
Mo says one time I tried to be good, and then, but that's what you should do. We didn't know he was turning, and we stopped because other people.
Eldred,
I'm Kenny.
Kenny, nice to meet you, man.
So I had met Kenny about a week ago. They were riding on a Sunday, and I hooked up with them on the way back, and we came in together, but we never got to introduce ourselves to each other. But I will definitely be back the following week. Mo kind of knows that I know the way and everything's fine. I don't like them to wait on me. I didn't expect my body to behave like it did, but I'm just not used to this heat yet. Plus, these guys are just really, really fast. So I didn't get a chance to really let my body recover. And you will see the efforts were reasonable. It's just I felt overheated. My heart rate was spiking, so you really have to know yourself. This is what I talk about all the time. So I decided to use these clips to talk about how power is applied when you ride, regardless of the terrain.
One more. Oh, Peter.
So Peter's up the road there. Mo saw him. Some of the riders are out spinning and they wait. They know the route these guys head out, so they don't come to the YMCA necessarily. Everybody's trying to get loose before hooking up with the group. So Peter's up there. So you have to always listen to yourself, listen to your body. It does not matter what group you're riding with, what the pace is. If you don't feel good and you can sit in, you sit in. If not, you let them go. I could not sit in as bad as I felt. I just felt like I was overheating. So I've got to get out more in this weather. This temperature just changed quickly because all the way through May, it was nice and mild and just got hot.
Claire.
So even though it says 22C, it feels hotter.
There's a monster coming for you.
There's a guy that's gonna ask me if I'm filming the whole ride. I said, I'll try. There's the guy on the left.
I'll try.
Oh, you're good.
He asked me if I'm filming the whole way. Nah, he's the one that ended up being like the squirrel in the bunch. And you will see I just made a little clip section there where I show what he's doing. I don't know if he's aware of it or not, but Patrick was the one affected by it, and he reacted accordingly. So I'm gonna point that out. And also in a few kilometers, we passed a rider in an Aussie jersey. I think it's the Australian flag or something, but anyway, it had Australia on the jersey. And he got really annoyed because of us zipping by him. The problem was he changed his line as the group passed him. So he ends up killing himself to ride up to us. See, the pace picks up here. And so I would ride up to this guy to just stay in the draft as much as possible. Anyway, what I was saying was he ended up changing his line without checking. So he ended up just getting in my path, and I was in the back after all the other riders had gone by. You know, I've said it here before. If you're changing your line, you got to check. Look at Patrick. Patrick is holding his line. He knows people are coming by. And we greet him as we go by. So the guy mentioned, well, you know, the same courtesy we expect from cars, we expect that from you guys. You guys should have said something to that effect. I'm like, no, you know, I said, if you hold your line, you don't have to worry about what we're doing. And that's the fact. So you got to be careful who you get advice from. Look at the watts as we turn the corner. That's where the effort is, just getting up to speed. And that's the way you're going to have to train if you're riding with groups or competitively, especially if you do criteriums. Every time they go around the curve, they're pouring down watts. So you have to train like that so your body acclimates. On this ride, the effort was fine. It's just my body, it's like my engine was overheating. I just felt really hot and uncomfortable. And whenever you feel like that, you got to back off, because the next thing you start having problems with the heat, and then you can get dizzy, all of that. So you really got to watch that. You heard Mo say, oh, we're going to get into the forest and we're going to see how we feel. What he meant is, do we feel like we want to go further as a group? Doesn't mean that everybody would not be feeling good, but he was more concerned about the group as a whole, because the weather changed suddenly here. We have a lot of humidity, and it takes a few weeks to really acclimate. 2 to 3 weeks usually, depending on how much time you're spending in it. So around here, we go out either early in the morning or we'll go out after 5 p.m. You know, everybody's busy during the middle of the day. You don't want to go out in the middle of the day if you can avoid it, because it's just the hottest point of the day. If you do go, you got to really monitor yourself. And of course, have adequate fluids. So throughout these clips, what I've done is I've specialized on putting the arrows on watts and on the stats so you can watch what happens as the group accelerates. Acceleration is where you burn the most energy, but then once you start to cruise, you can back off because you're steadier. It's like you sip the energy once you're cruising. You can see these, we're moving 44 kilometers an hour. Another positive about the rally pedals, I mentioned that on the live stream. They're actually displaying my cadence for me, and because I no longer need that speed unit to work with it like the power pod, GPS gives me my speed, so I don't have to worry about interference when we get on certain parts of the area on the rides. So the speeds are more consistently being displayed. So we're riding about 25, 26 miles per hour. And you see how tight the line is. I stay a little to the left so you guys can get this view. So I'm not getting the most perfect draft, but I'm getting a draft. I don't want to just show this guy that I'm directly behind. So I stay slightly to the left, which is how you normally follow anyway. I was very, very surprised at how bad I felt by the time we got to Fish Creek. And I ended up waving Patrick up so that he wouldn't have to close a huge gap. And you see me let them go. So you have to be willing to back off. You have to listen to your body. It didn't matter what my power meter was saying. It really didn't matter what my heart rate monitor was saying. My heart rate monitor was saying I was at sweet spot, which I can do all the time. But I felt so bad, I had to let the group go. It doesn't matter whether you're in a race or a group ride. Always listen to yourself, or just on a standard training ride. That's the guy on the left there who was a little squirrely at one point in the ride, and he just, I don't know, he seemed to be trying a bit hard. In the parking lot, he had said that he had not been as consistent when more asked him, more knew him, so more kind of greeted him. He said, I haven't been training consistently, something like that. That's Patrick in front of him. So you can see the line is tight, is moving along. It's so much easier riding with these guys. So I will definitely be coming back more frequently. I already told my buddy Paul once he gets back to riding, we're going to be visiting these guys more frequently. It's just less attention required just sitting. And and Team RR is getting better too, because we've got new guys that have come to that group that really keep the pace going. But these guys cover a lot of ground quickly. So this week I plan to spend a little more time out. Today's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all of you. It's Sunday as I do this voiceover. That guy on the right, we had passed him and he tried to stay with us. He's going right. He's staying in the Woodlands. We're leaving town.
All you had to do was put air in the tires. You're good. Well, no, hang on. I have not had any consistency.
That's the thing I was talking about. He and Moore was talking, and he said he hadn't had any consistency. So what he's saying is he's been riding on and off. Everybody goes through that. I'm intentionally sitting on the back. I wanted to get everybody in the frame. It's been a while since I've ridden with these guys, and I wanted to just get a lot of the riders in the frame. The next time I come, I'll try a different mounting option. I've got a combo mount on the bike, and I'll use that to put the camera on there for parts of the ride. I will carry a flexible mounting screw that you can hand tighten so that I can change what I'm doing throughout the ride. Just to keep it interesting. So today's video is a little shorter than we normally do, but I think you will get quite a bit out of it anyway. It's slightly downhill here, I believe, probably -1, but it's relatively flat. We're moving about 25 or so at this point, So like my heart rate says 153. To me, it feels like 173. That's what I talked about in the live session. It does not matter how much power you're putting out. I'm putting out 100 and something watts, then 3 something, whatever. And that's what I'm talking about. So as the group accelerates, you have to put out more watts to get up to speed. Once you get up to speed, then it takes fewer watts to maintain it when it's steady. So steadier riding is a lot less taxing than constant accelerations on the body. And what I did in these clips is I put the display in focus with the arrows every time the surging was occurring, as much as I could. You'll see that. But you can see they're just riding along at 26, 27, 26 miles an hour. And they'll do this for most of their riding as far as, the effort level. So it was the ideal ride. It would have worked out great if I just had not overheated. I mean, this is my, 160, 159 beats per minute. I'm right about tempo pace, and I feel like I'm going very hard. That's when you know something's off. It's Egypt Lane. Watch the effort here as we turn, which is normal. Getting up to speed, 400, 600 watts, because they're not backing off. And being at the back, you're putting down the effort later than they do to maintain your position in the line. So it's not very easy at the back. We're approaching the FM 1488. That's Patrick right in front of me here. I'm sitting slightly to his left. I keep my cadence high like I normally do, so I'm not doing anything different, but everything seems harder than it should be at this effort. And I drink, and I'm comfortable. I'm very well hydrated, but I just feel like I'm riding in a sauna. Just for me, I'm just not used to the heat yet. So in a little bit, I'm going to show you how crashes can occur in a group. The guy in the red, I don't know what he's doing, but watch where he is. All the way on the left, Patrick starts to go, boom. He almost hit Patrick's wheel. But Patrick reacted well. He went to the right, give him a little more room. But that was too squirrely. You gotta hold your line in the group.
Yeah, you gotta watch him, Patrick. He's all over the road.
Now, as we cross the intersection, this guy's not riding with us. This is what I was talking about. He's in the Australian jersey right here. See where he is? We go by. As I come by, he moves left right there. So it was very close. The camera didn't catch it. But obviously, it bothered him. I saw him coming. He made it close by coming left. If you've got that many riders passing you, why are you changing your line at that moment? And if you must change your line, you need to check. So you will hear him. He kills himself, rides up to us to chastise me. You guys should have said something, blah, blah, blah. I was a bit annoyed. I said, well, if you hold your line, you don't have to worry about us. You will hear it. He's out of camera range because he couldn't get up to us. He was behind me. But he rode up just to complain. He said the same courtesy cars afford us.
The same courtesy as the car gives you, 3 foot. I'll hold your line. You don't have to worry about us saying anything. I'm not in your pack, mate. Whatever.
I didn't hear what else he said. I had no interest in that because my thing was, don't come and lecture me when you're not even aware that you were the cause of the problem. We're not required to give you 3 feet. I always talk about on this channel that you should give people a lot of room when you pass them. That's fine. But as a cyclist, if you're on the road,
He said we should have given him 3 feet. I said, hold your line.
yeah, Patrick heard it and he looked at me to find out what was going on. And so the thing was that if you're riding on the road, there are cars, you guys know it, cars will pass you closer than the law says a lot of times. Does that give you the right to swerve in front of them or change your line without checking? He was irresponsible. He's lucky I saw him and I moved over because I'm always scanning. You guys know that. When I'm riding, that's what I'm doing. So he didn't even appreciate the fact that he caused the pass to be very close, especially since a bunch of riders were going by him. Why pass at that time? So everything he did was wrong. Then wants to come and complain. And so I was like, if we don't say, he said he wanted us to, he said we should have said something. If we don't say anything, you see the riders going by you. That's not the time to change your line. I mean, he was behaving as if to say he wanted to jump on the group. But if you're gonna do that, you need to check. Make sure you got the last rider going by. So everything he did was his fault. Then he wants to cry about it. So I don't have patience for that. If you don't know that you're wrong, I can't teach you. So don't come lecture me. So we come to Fish Creek here, FM 2978. The right lane's clear. Everybody going on. Watch the watts as we go. These guys pour it on. I'm right in like tempo zone, which is zone 3. You can see I'm putting out 500 plus watts. It's dropping because now it's settling down. I'm gonna ride up to Patrick's wheel and just sit there. But that's where you put out the effort in a group where the speed is changing and where they're not backing off after the turn to let you come in. That's what I mean when I say there are different kinds of effort. The steady effort's different. So I was really looking forward to this ride, but my body was not. I'm already at 167. It feels like I'm like 10 beats higher, just like it did last week. So I decide, okay, I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna see if I start to feel better. And when I say feel, what I mean is not the effort. My legs are fine. It's just my overall body is like the breathing is tough. The air just seems tepid. Everything about that, my overall feeling is just meh. You know, and that's important. So I have good legs, you know, because I made a couple of rides during the week. I was able to get out and do some short rides. So I was out in it. It's just that I'm like, man, I should not be feeling this bad. So, you know, I drink, I pour water. I mean, I still don't feel any better. So I figure I'll give it a couple of miles or so and see. You can see how close I am to Patrick, because we're moving. We're doing about 27 miles an hour or so. And normally in the group like this, I can sit in and I'm fine, but my body's just feeling, you know, I was like, man, you know, just overall, I didn't feel great. So today's Sunday, I did not ride. I slept in, you know, it's Father's Day. I decided I'm just gonna rest. I just went ahead and allowed myself to sleep in, rest. So don't feel pressured to push the issue if you're feeling bad. Let yourself recover. I decided I would give myself a full day off the bike and see how I feel later in the week. So I want to ride with these guys again next weekend. So hopefully next weekend I will get more clips, longer clips riding with these guys. I will use a different mounting option during the ride, but I'm hoping to feel better. I'm going to go out later in the day during the week, so I have more time in the afternoon. And if I can, sometimes in the morning, just to get myself used to being outside. You know, I did yard work the day before this ride just to kind of acclimate. I was out there for several hours, but still, you know, you look at my heart rate, 153, and I feel like I'm doing 180. I'm in, you know, zone 4 to 5. That's what it's like, man. Yeah, so Patrick told me he wants to hang off the back, and I told him, me too, because, you know, I got in front of him thinking I would feel a little better, because we're not going very hard. It ended up, this siren, this officer that's going, it's off camera, but there was a car that was overturned up the highway in the median. I hope the person was okay. As I rode off camera, I saw the emergency vehicles there trying to help. Car overturned in the center in the grass. Somebody, you know, messing around, not paying attention. So look at my heart rate, 153, and I'm feeling like, okay, I gotta let these guys go. So it's not so much what your heart rate says that's important, and it's about these gadgets. Doesn't matter what your heart rate said, doesn't matter what your power meter said. How you feel is number one. Consistent with what I talked about in the last live session. Do not ignore how you feel.
Bring it up.
So I'm really monitoring myself. I have enough fluid. I've poured water on me. That's another reason I was sitting at the back. I didn't want to splash water on anybody. And so I think shortly after here, I end up letting them go. I ended up backing off the pace to zone 1, you know, and just slowed everything down. And after a while, I started feeling a little better. But by then, they were gone. You know, but still on the way back, as I mentioned in the route, I hooked up with Jerry and them, a different group, and I still was feeling like my body, everything was off kilter. So in a little bit, I'm going to wave Patrick up, because he had said he was going to sit on the back, and I got in front of him. Right here, I waved him up, so he wouldn't have much of a gap. I waved him up. I stayed there until he got through, and this is where I let him go. I was just feeling bad. 100 and what? 64 beats per minute. I do that all week.
It was a hammering.
And I felt so bad, so I let him go here. So remember, you got to listen to how you feel. That is more important than whatever your plan was when you headed out there. So I was looking forward to riding with these guys. So it was a bit disappointing, but I've been riding long enough to know that you have to not ignore what your body is telling you. So I went ahead and dropped the effort substantially here and just spun into Hornier. So there's more to come. Keep those doctors fired.